Today is June 18th, 2026. Again today. Again today. And you might want to pull warmer at 62. As we go to leave, some guys in there talking to the door greeter. Might want to see what he had to say because I heard part of it. And then I want you to know how stupid you are. Walking in a Walmart or other places and never bad-mouthing me. They got your picture and that you're part of an extortion group running drug scams on people, and they ever go to do a wide arrest, guess what? You can be part of it. You're that stupid. Okay, now, today, I went over and picked up my grandson, Daniel. Okay. We were going to practice for him driving. Before we started, we went to McDonald's, went in and ate. All right. Some guy was in there talking. He's like, nobody found this funny. When we found out if Agent, where they were laughing that Agent John said if she said anything, that she wouldn't get anything. And then to find out it's a federal crime of blackmail. I know. What is a jail sentence for an FBI agent if he tells an informant if they say anything? They won't get their informant money. Blackmail. Federal crime. Extortion out of government funds. Crime against the U.S. government because it's government funds. Huh? What else? Tampering with a witness, obstruction, justice, 20 to life. Can't even say it can't be in a quarter. What would be the judge's sentence for signing something like that? 10 to 20. They're not above criminal charges. We live in the United States of America. We have constitutional and federal laws. No one can break. And under the eyes of the law, no one can take your rights away. The only time a judge can even put a gag order on you is sequestered or grand jury, and only during the proceedings. That's it. Can't even say it. What is a jail sentence for an FBI agent if if a informant says anything, they won't have protection? Attempted murder. Aiding and abetting crimes, obstruction of justice, and tampering with a witness. 20 life. What would be the jail sentence for a judge signing it? 10 to 20 years. They can't take someone's constitutional rights away. See how much these people are playing you. You know, after we left there, we drove over to the elementary school. I told Daniel, I said, we're going to drive around and around the parking lot. You're going to learn mobility and how to start, how to stop, how much pressure to put on the brake. We're going to learn how to park. And if you don't scare me to death, we can go on a little more. But if you scare me to death, I found a school that I can pay a little old man to drive around. You can scare him to death. Okay? He did pretty well. Scared me once. But we were parallel parking. But he did okay. Okay. We went and took a part back for them to check for Carl Okay, then we went to Walmart 62. And my sweet husband used to be a truck driver. And sometimes his truck driving mouth comes out of him. We've had talks. I swear like a sailor, but the truck driver stuff, I had to reach over and touch his arm, then do this at him. And then he stopped. Because comments, just because he's been around truck drivers for 35 years, even though he's retired now. All right. We go in, and I had told Daniel, I said, where you guys play video games all the time, it's a non-reality world. They should only be an hour or two of entertainment. Not a whole day. You're missing out on life. And if you want my help and me to teach you how to drive, your mother works 60 hours a week. Your dad's working. You're 18-year-old men. Graduated from high school. You live in your parents' home for free. Your mother gets home, there shouldn't be dishes in the sink. There shouldn't be any trash on the floor. You will start showing your mother respect. And I said, I'll tell you what, with my kids, I would have turned that internet off a long time ago, and you wouldn't be playing video games. And you would have got out living a life and talking to real people. And I said, if I'm going to help you and I take my time and I help you, I have rules. I pick you up, I expect every bit of trash off the floor. I walk in this house, I don't want to see it a mess. I'm not joking. And I said, you will start showing your mother respect. She's out supporting you. And I said, and you're going to be, once we get your 50 hours of training in, then you can get your license and we can look for you a job. You have long hair, a long beard. You got the Charles Manson serial killer look. You're going to clean up. You want a beard? You keep it groomed. You keep your hair, if you want a little long, you can. But this long-haired drug addict look is going to go. I said, do you know what tough love is? He said, I've never heard of it. I said, it's what people that care about people, especially parents, for you to learn a new skill is to face your fears. Put you in an uncomfortable position of learning to drive. Face your fear that you can do it. And the skills of how to do it. You can go out and get a job and you can make it. Giving you skills to take care of yourself and pushing you that you'll be all right. It's called tough love. It's helping you grow into an adult. And I said, there's going to be a lot of tough love. We went out and got him a bicycle. I got him a helmet. I got him a lock. I said, I expect you and Tyler to get out and ride your bikes every day. I want you to build up muscles, strength in your legs and arms, because you're going to have to go out and work. And this laziness of laying around and sitting in a chair playing a computer game all day, you need to build up your muscles and your strength while we're practicing driving. And I said, I expect you to get up and start eating in the morning. Why I didn't eat when I went to school. And I said, and what? When you got home from school, you slept all day? They were up playing computer games all night? I don't want to hear it. The 10-year-old spoiled child act is over. I said, do you know what my dad did? I was 10 years old. He passed out chores to everybody. You didn't have your chores done when he got home? You went and sat in your room. You didn't have a TV. You didn't have a computer. And then you know what he did? He passed out other people's chores to you so you learned to respect everybody in that house. I said, you know what that did? It taught you responsibility and respect for other people. It's called tough love. Well, we went and picked him out a bike. People saying stuff walking by. Walmart 62 and then some idiot. Now, I'm telling you, you go in a store, you say something to a door greeter, security about me, they have a picture of you as part of an extortion ring. Running scams on people. You know, I heard someone today. Now, I want you to think how fucking stupid this is. And this is how much they're playing you. They had told people years ago I had charges. Now, I want you to think I have one traffic ticket. I have no charges. They're lying. And they kept saying this big word. I had never heard of it. I had to Google it. And it's like, my God, that never happened. They told people I had charges of rape and murder. My God, I'd be scared of me. I have one traffic ticket. I have nothing. They lied. They told people, see, that's where people came in. We found out Melissa and that attorney were lying that she had those charges and she has a restraining order. She's not allowed around those kids. I don't have no restraining order. Huh? They lied. And I have no charges. See, that's where they lied to people. That they took their stocking tapes that they admitted they photoshopped everything, photoshopped showering, washing in the shower, put that in the other room where I had bruises, throwing up, and in fact that they were having me drugged, beaten, raped, and drugged up and told to say stuff. That they took their rapist tapes and entered in court without me, found me guilty, put charges on me. Nobody told me. My God, I hate crackheads. And they signed all my money over to them. They didn't sign it. See, that's where they lie. And fools fall for it. Fools fall for it. We found out Melissa and her attorney were lying. She doesn't have charges. Then other people today, they're so stupid that are doing this, they don't realize they're the ones going to go to jail. Then other people saying, oh, that attorney's going to get her. No attorney's going to get me, bite me. Seriously. Seriously. See, that's where May 9th, 26 Myers, out in Alliance by the Register, investigators are talking. I'm tired of that so-called attorney for children. The guy said I looked up the credentials. He's not an attorney. It's just some guy Dave hired on his own, and we think it's his ex-girlfriend's dad. And it's that bad, they're just lying to people. No attorney would take her. See, that's where no attorney would take her. No attorney would represent Melissa. Well, what, a plea deal of how many years in jail she's going to get? I had a dog bite. I talked to a personal injury attorney. They said you have to have so much to even have a case. You have to prove you were injured. What's wrong with this? They're documenting me jokes. You have to go to the hospital. You have to have treatment for the injuries and ongoing treatment. What's wrong with this? They're mean jokes. Like the two guys that said they work for the drug lord. You got a real problem. Nobody ever got hurt. Big problem, huh? Because they're mean jokes. Trying to scare me out of my house. Documented. Now I want you to think about this. Then you have to have a police report. There's no police report. She's documented an FBI case by the police and the FBI, working with two guys that said they worked for a drug lord, my God, and was willing to help them get away with it. Melissa, friends with Dave's girlfriend, Michelle. And telling the kids to lie. And the kids saying on Thanksgiving of 18, they made everything up. They're games of pretend. There's no police investigation. Because in the middle of an investigation, they were all taped saying they were lying. There's then at once, the attorney for the dog bite said it doesn't matter if someone hurt you. It doesn't matter if someone hurts you, or if it's a car wreck or a dog bite, you have to be seen in a hospital. You have to have treatment for injuries. Police report. You had a dog bite, you have to have dog warning. And we'd like pictures of the injuries matching up to the hospital report. Once you have that, you prove you were injured. Now we have to prove responsibility. I said, well, I have a witness. We can pay witnesses off. We can't have a witness. You have to have physical evidence. I said, physical evidence. I said, well, where it bit on my arm and latched the dog, I have its DNA on my coat where it bit through, and I have its slobber. She said, now you have a case. If you don't have all that, you don't even have a case to open. So does Melissa have an attorney for mean jokes? Trying to scare me out of my house, working with Dave's crack-addict girlfriend or her drug friends, trying to run a drug scam on me? And they're taped by the police saying they made everything up? They were games of pretend? No. It's a scam. She has an attorney. No attorney would take her. It's a scam. Scamming everybody. Just like they lied, an attorney had special permission by the police to set up button cameras in a home. There's a right to privacy of her home. Oh, police gave him special permission. Dave told Danny he hired some guy named Pete on his own that did it, him and his man. Dave did it. Okay? Dave did it. Police didn't know about it. I talked to him. Because Dave did it. Had his girlfriend, dad, and her drug friends run a drug scam on me. What is a jail sentence for an attorney hired by a husband to stalk his wife with button cameras in a private home without her knowledge or consent? Disbarment, 5 to 20. What is a jail sentence for an attorney hired by a husband setting up button cameras in a private home, taping in bathrooms like shower scenes, photoshopping in the other room, having men break in, drug them for fake confessions, and beat and rape under drugs? Life imprisonment. Get the idea. These people lie. Like they said today. Melissa and that attorney were lying. Well, according to the investigator, it's not even an attorney. An attorney would know better. Okay. I had a talk with Daniel. I said, Tyler and I got into it. I said, I don't know why after 18 years, he's never smarted off to me like that. And I don't know who put him up to it, but he got an earful. He said, Grandma, I'll let you know, several people told him off really bad for talking to you that way. I said, I'll tell you what, Daniel. I said, I went off on him on things that I was going to wait and slowly tell. I went off and let him have it. And I said, and it's a nice... I was going to try to be nice and do it slowly, but I let him have it all at once. And I said, I'm sorry, but I told him what kind of fucking bastard your grandfather is. And I said, and I couldn't be nice about it anymore. I said, he started in being smart, and I told him stop. I told him stop like 5, 6 times. Carl's like, of how wonderful my grandfather is. And you just have an attitude. It's like, don't talk to me that way. I finally said, well, what did he actually do for you in life? Nothing. I said, who bought your school clothes? Who bought your shoes? Who bought your coats? Who bought your video games your whole life? Who did? I did. What did he do? Nothing. And I said, so you're telling me how great he is? I said, I'll tell you what. And I said, you know, where they kicked in my door, and on the 6th day while we were out, he's supposed to have people set up button cameras. He's like, well, that's what you said that they said they were doing. I said, it's not just me saying that. They're saying they did it. That he hired men to kick in my door, to stalk me. And that tape of Weird With Yourself, where they're supposed to have a shower scene on washing myself in the other room, and that you guys didn't know about? Yeah, I know we didn't know about it. I said, you didn't know about it, did you, Daniel? He's like, no. I said, you do realize with him having those men and those perverts do that to me. You used the bathroom as a child. They obtained kiddie porn of you going to the bathroom. That fucking bastard let perverts tape you go in the bathroom. And I said, remember all the bruises and me sick and almost passing out? They were breaking where Dixie, I said, do you remember on Thanksgiving where I said, you know that Michelle, I said, these people ran a scam of a retired Judge Pete, friends with Judge Ludick, letting him get away with crimes. He's like, that makes no sense. You get fired as a judge and you get in trouble. I said, exactly. I said, I went to the sheriff's. They didn't even know who he was. They were supposed to talk to Ludick. Investigators showed up and said that judge said it made his stomach turn. The thought somebody used his name to do crimes. Okay? He didn't know because it was a scam. And that's where Dixie laughed and said the whole thing was a scam. It's like, yeah, he's not even real. And I said, but you know that Michelle was dating while we were married? Yeah, I knew her. I said, Dixie even knew her. He said, isn't it against the Bible to date while you're married? It's adultery. I said, yes. And I said, I found out that fucking bastard was dating several women where he was supposed to be doing all that working overtime. I remember that. I said, he wasn't working overtime. He's out running around with women. And I said, if he wanted to run around with women, he should have just left me be and gone off in his way. And I said, that girl is messed up in the drug cartel. That Michelle showed up at Faith Family Church causing a big scene with a bunch of drug dealers. And I said, and that we're saying they were drug dealers and they worked for Judge Peters and they were from Florida. In 19, she came in front of, I said, you seen how big that church is? I'm the one that dates Dave. I'm the one that dates her husband. And I turned around. I didn't believe her. But she's sitting around, walking around with people saying that they're they work for Judge Peters and they were drug dealers. I said, I reported your grandfather. The FBI said if I agreed to get information, I said they were surveillance me and they got them. And I said, your grandfather lost it and threatened to kill everyone. And when he threatened to kill everyone, I stayed here for them to get information on those people to save everybody's life. And I almost died. I said, feel the back of my head. He said, Grandma, it's caved in. I said, I was bashed in the head and knocked out for 6 hours. I have to have surgery on my eyes or I'll lose my sight forever. I got fast-growing cataracts that are caused from the pressure change in my eyes years ago when they hit me in the back of the head, and they come out years later and they'll cover your eyes. And I said, my eyes are healthy, but it's like all that comes out forward years later. I could lose my sight. I have to have surgery. He said, Grandma, they could have killed you. I said yeah. And I said, there is no sense, because he was dating an 18-year-old in a drug cartel. And I told him, I said, they ran so many scams, and that's all they are, is scams. I said, do you know what HIPAA is? He's like, no. I said, it's the right of privacy over your medical records. Your doctor cannot talk about you without your consent. He said, I know that. They had a scam of a dirty doctor with them. He's like, no doctor could be with them. I said, I know, it's 10 years. I said, where I reported your grandfather, an agent dated part of their group. There was another Michelle, real pretty, Carl Senior. March 27th, 25, he got it out of her that the doctor from before was not one of mine, works for them, and they had lied. Okay? He was one of my doctors, and she don't know who he is. And when they bashed in my head, they tried to kill me or leave me incompetent. And as soon as she told him, he broke up with her. I said, April 17th, 25, in Sheets parking lot in Hartville, she's having a meltdown. And I said, do you know those great big government SUVs? He said, yeah, I know about them. I said, they were there. They stopped. Carl heard her having a meltdown. How she called the police up there. They said, how dumb were you telling that guy that the doctor from before is not one of hers, works for them, and they had lied he was one of her doctors? She doesn't know who he is, and when they bashed in my head, they tried to kill me or leave me incompetent. It didn't work, and soon as she told him, he broke up with her. And she really liked him, and she wanted to marry him. And Carl's like, I heard all that. And I said, I don't even know her. She's real pretty. And I said, these people threatened to kill her for telling on them. Her and her friends went badass on these people. And every time they find out something, they tell the investigators. And I said, I'll tell you what, because I reported it to the FBI, and these people were threatening to kill me. My home was legally bugged on Thanksgiving of 18. Melissa's kids in the basement, 2 Flora, were taped saying that they wanted the house for Auntie Shaw and Papa. They knew it. And then later on, they were making up sick, mean games of pretend. And they were making everything up. I said sick, mean games of pretend. And they're documenting mean games of pretend. I said Melissa was even caught telling her kids to lie because she was friends with Dave's crack-headed girlfriend. I said they already got her. They're documenting mean jokes. He said they knew who she was too. And they were taped up. I said yes. He told me, he said, Grandma, I'm glad you told me all this, because I needed to hear this information. He said that church wants Grandpa back here in the country. I said, he can't come back. He comes back, he will be arrested. I said, the FBI, I said, these people were so dumb. They walked into an FBI office with their stocking tapes, with photoshopping and washing. They tried to tell the FBI they had sodium pentothal reports, true serum. He's like, that don't even make sense. That they had the right to drug me and where they're roofing me. And I said I never seen her talk to anybody. Never had anybody in my home. And I got all those bruises and I'm throwing up and almost passing out. And they're having those drug dealers sneak in my house and drug me. I never seen them. And beat on me. And tell me to say horrible stuff I found out. And I never seen or talked to him. I said there was no reason for him, if he wanted that crack-headed girl, to have her drug-dealing friends play with me like that. And then Photoshop that washing scene that you guys didn't know about. And play with me like this. Thought they could go into the FBI, they would open up a case and give them money. He's like, that would never happen. Get the idea. See, that's where people today, I heard somebody say, that Melissa and her attorney were lying that she has charges. And that they have a restraining order. She's not allowed around those kids anymore. And everything was turned over them. I don't have charges. I don't have a restraining order. And they don't have a court order to get everything. They're lying. They're scamming everyone. It's Dave, my ex-husband Dave's girlfriend, Michelle, her dad, and Melissa scamming everyone. See, that's where I told you the other night outside my clients, there was a guy talking, how he listened to everything. And he said, that guy in Hartville, when she described that one drug dealer, that his people got arrested for selling people, it scared him to death. And they think the guy that she's seen around him was an officer. But he has the same resemblance of the guy that was having his people, human traffic people here. And it scared him to death that he would even be around her. Okay? And outside he said it's actually him having everybody do this. Well, it's a Russian. It's a Russian drug dealer. Then you got to think what they said back in 18. That it was two drug lords fighting over this area. The one that his people got arrested in Summit County for selling the people they were grabbing out of hotels. And the police got together and rescued them. And the guy said it was that Russian. Well, the other drug lord is the Iraqi, the king from Texas. Those are the two drug lords. Where people said, we all know that Russian is the one that's been paying people to follow her and say stuff. I'm going to go ahead and upload this. But do you realize if Dave came back to this country, I told Carl, I said he ever came back to this country, you'd be surprised how many men in plain clothes will be around us everywhere. Because he tried to have me killed. My whole family is safer with him out of this country. He threatened to kill Dixie and the baby, and drug dealers and people played with their vehicles. Lug nuts being taken off, tires coming off while they're driving. Loosened all of them. Thank God she came back. Another time, Josh's car blew up on the highway. We're safer with him out of the country. Of course that cult wants him back because then they'll bring the drug cartel back. And then they can kill and destroy more people. You don't ever need to come back to the United States. Well, I told Daniel, I said he can never come back. He'll be arrested. I said the FBI went after the big drug dealers his girlfriend was messed up with. He got him. I said, he comes back, he'll go to jail for all these crimes. I said, plus he married that girl in that other country. She can't come here. When everybody realizes Melissa and Dave's ex-girlfriend, Michelle, and her dad, and his drug friends are doing nothing but scamming you, I have no charges. Do you know for you to have charges, the police have to interview you. They have to take it to the prosecutor's office. The evidence has to make sure that it stays within the law. What's wrong with this? They have to take it in front of a judge. You have a right to an attorney to represent you, to argue your case. What's wrong with this? Then you have a right to a fair and court trial of an impartial jury where the charges stick. There's nothing. Because they're mean jokes in front of the police and feds. There's no charges. They made it up. They don't have a restraining order. They made it up. They weren't awarded my money. They don't have a court order for it. They made it up. They lie. I told Daniel, I said I called these people the Pinocchio group. The liars. And I said, I'll tell you what, I thought more of Melissa. I thought Mark and Tina raised a better daughter than just because John divorced her, that she'd go in it with Dave and his crack-headed girlfriend and having me harmed or running a scam and be stupid enough to take it to the FBI and think you could scam them out of money. He said, you can't scam them out of money. I said, I know that. I'm going to go ahead and upload this. But you do realize, people, you show up and you stalk and harass me. They get you under surveillance in a store, you can go to jail. I have no charges. I have nothing against me. It's all made up. So you're part of a drug scam on somebody trying to extort money. You can go to jail 20 years. Is it worth your freedom? There's nothing against me. See, December 18, 24, two guys walked in Walmart 62. People were talking. They said she had charges. Other people said it was a drug cartel. So we had someone call up the Ravenna courthouse. They said there's nothing against her. It's a drug cartel. It's a big scam. I'm going to upload this.